taking on the mighty Gators. 7:45 Eastern Time. You can see that.
Save it for your college football
over on ESPN. We'll stay with boxing now, and it's a theme in boxing this year as well. Experience over athleticism in world championship bouts. We saw it with Bernard Hopkins stopping a seemingly unstoppable force in Felix Trinidad, and now we've seen it in the junior welterweight unification fight. Kostya Tszyu stopping cold the most dynamic young fighter in the junior welterweight unification. Max, early on looked like, hey, this is what we figured. Zab electrifyingly fast.
Yeah, Zab, you know, the first thing you look at a prospect, hand speed, punching power. Zab has all that, and I thought he had Kostya Tszyu legitimately hurt twice in the first round. Ready to go? No. But legitimately stunned with shots twice in the first round. One more shot like the two he stunned Tszyu with, and I thought it would have been a 10-8 round. It wasn't. It was a 10-9 round, and Kostya came back to do this one round later. And that was it. Hit him right on the button. Now, I guess we're going to analyze this here, Brian.
We're going to go back and forth over the stoppage. Jay Nady there, when he saw Zab look like he was in two pieces, of course, waved it off immediately, had a count to about 4, and then stopped. Zab, unprofessional behavior after the fight, which he talked about. We will talk about live with Zab in just a moment. But, hey, Kostya Tszyu, Zab didn't get there on his own. I think that's the bottom line. Kostya Tszyu put him there, and he is the undisputed unified junior welterweight champion of the world.
He was very hurt. As I said, it wasn't a heavy punch. It wasn't a heavy punch. And after that, he will get really, really hurt because I am a big finisher, and I can hurt him even harder. It's rematch can happen, but it's not deserved. By the way he spoke, by the way he conduct himself, by the way he's put himself before fight, he's not deserved. Did not deserve come near to me now.
There's Kostya with his sons coming up, greeting him at the airport. Great moment for him. And if you're in a situation anyway, Max, you're looking at Mickey Ward, James Leha, those are the opponents you're looking at. You can wait for Zab. That fight is always going to be there for you if you want it, and Zab's still a dangerous guy.
And the thing about Kostya you got to love, he said every time he opens his mouth, it makes you proud to be a boxing fan. What does he say right after the fight? When they ask him, do you want a rematch? He says, winner take all, which was Zab's own words before the fight. Kostya's just, look, he's the junior welterweight champion of the world. He's in the driver's seat. He's calling the shots. And whatever he wants to do is what's going to happen. However, what other junior welterweight's going to represent over $1 million payday right now for Kostya Tszyu? Probably no others. So I think the rematch will happen.
It's going to be there, but you might want to let that grow, get ripe on the vine as well. We're going to be talking about the stoppage at length here in our next segment. We'll talk about Jay Nady, previous fights that he's had as well, and then that fine line that you draw about a guy, is he that hurt, or do you let the fight go on at the world championship level? But right now, Zab Judah joins us live from New York City at the ESPN zone. Zab, you've had a few days now to think about it. What is on your mind? What's your take on the stoppage and how you conducted yourself after the fight as of today?
Well, I mean, you know, I gotta say, I went in there and did my best. You know what I'm saying? Kostya is a great fighter, and first of all, I want to apologize for my behavior. You know, my behavior in the ring was unprofessional, and I want to apologize to the Nevada Commission, and I want to apologize to Jay Nady, the referee. He was only doing his job, you know. I let my emotion get in there and play a part. So, you know, I guess you could say I kind of wilded out.
Well, no, it's good to hear you say that. There'll be a hearing next week in Nevada on your actions and possible disciplinary actions, Zab. But how did you get caught, Zab? You got caught once with the right hand and then a second time with the right hand that did knock you down. How did that happen?
Well, Max, you know, the first round was so easy, you know. Like after the first round, I came to the corner and I told my father, I said, Albie, you know, this fight is so easy to hit him. I mean, he's real easy to hit. So the second round, I went out there and I kind of took things for granted. You know what I mean? And, you know, I dropped my hand and pulled straight back. A couple of bad mistakes. You know what I mean? But like I said, you know, I'm always feeling like rematches is deserving because there's a better outcome.
Zab, from the knockdown in the Millette fight, you jumped right back up. It was also at the end of the round. I believe it was the second round. Your legs looked a little shaky, but you came back 2 rounds later. You knocked Millette out. In this situation, again, your pride and maybe inexperience, you jump back up and as a result go back down again. If you could do it over, you take your knee and wait for an 8 count, and do you think it was inexperience that led to you trying to jump back up and ultimately to the fight being stopped?
Well, Max, you know, I gotta say that. I mean, you know, everyone knows I've been down twice in my career, and both times with me going down, I got up and knocked both my opponents out. And you know, and I'm 100% sure that the same thing would have happened in this fight. But yeah, it's my lack of experience. You know what I mean? From me and my pride I got, that when I touch the floor, I'm like, I got to get right back up because I wasn't hurt at all. You know what I mean? I got caught with a good shot and I went down, but for me being in great shape, I just got back up and was like, come on, let's do it again.
Zab, you talked about after the fight how you wanted to slow yourself down in the second round after your big first round, and you just wanted to box him and move around a little bit.
Right.
But he was beating you in the second round. He wasn't doing any damage, but he was controlling the action. It didn't look to me like you were boxing so much as kind of avoiding the rushes. Why weren't you sticking the jab more? And what was it that he was doing to you that was preventing you from boxing him in that second round, from taking the second round from him?
Well, Max, actually, I wasn't trying to box him. I was trying to set him up, like just bait him with the jab, not really trying to hit him with it, bait him with it, make him rush him, because we all know Kostya Tszyu is a one-dimensional fighter. So I was looking to put the jab out there, make him run in and blast him with the uppercut.
Zab, this is Brian again. We're going to take a look at the tape now and do it as if, now, I've talked to many referees during the week saying that, you know, Jay Nady was looking out for your welfare, but at the same time, he could have begun a count. Let's take a look at the tape right now if we can, and we'll do it as if a count did occur, if there was a full count after you got knocked down. So there we go. We start the clock. You're up. You look bad.
Look, hold on, look. The round is over. The round is over.
Round is over, but now when it's waved off, you don't have to ring the bell. Now you're up pretty much, it seems coherent, at 8 or 9.
Look, I'm ready now. Look. I'm ready to fight. I'm ready back. I'm like, come on. I mean, then right there, I just kind of lost it. I'm sorry for that, y'all. I mean, like I said, once again, I want to apologize to all my fans and all the boxing people out there, and let them know, you know, I just lost it. You know what? I see my life turn, my life turn dream slipping away from me in like matters of seconds. So I just lost it.
Zab, my argument, we're going to get onto it later in the show, but I felt that, and everyone coming from me, because I've been pulling the bandwagon for a little while, it's going to sound like sour grapes, but I thought since you were walking around the ring within 10 seconds under your own power, the fight shouldn't have been stopped. We're going to get to that later. In the meantime, this is the third fight where you've been caught right on the chin by a shot. You know, Bergman, then Millett, then Tszyu. What are you doing or not doing that's enabling your chin to just be hanging out there for these kind of guys?
Keeping my hands up, Max. Keeping my hands up, you know what I'm saying, just being better than my talent. You know what I mean? I mean, you know, sometimes I go in there and I get bored by my opposition, you know what I'm saying? And not saying that I got bored by Kostya Tszyu, you know, just saying basically that, you know, I just felt like he couldn't really hit me, you know what I mean? So I dropped my hand, and, you know, wanted to show my defense, and, you know, I got caught actually going backwards in the right-hand position.
Hey, Zab, we're out of time now, but we look forward to seeing you again in the ring and talking to you again here on Friday Night Fights. Thank you, Zab.
Thank you very much.
In a tough position, because here, of course, coming after a knockout loss, and he's angry about it. I understand why it was stopped, but again, we'll get into this. What was your gut reaction when you saw it happen? My gut reaction, no, don't stop a world championship fight.
Well, I had two reactions. My first was, oh my God, they're stopping it, it's premature. And my second reaction, as a Zab Judah fan, yeah, I'm a Zab Judah fan, the commentators, analysts, writers, everyone plays favorites, you just have to admit it, I was a little bit relieved, thinking, well, at least this way there's a little controversy and, you know, he's not knocked out clean. But the truth of the matter is, I'm not 100% convinced that Kostya goes on to win that fight, had the fight continued. At that point, you have to make Kostya a favorite to win it, but I'm not 100% convinced.
We'll be talking about this again. Talking about Jay Nady, he was also the referee in Trinidad Vargas and Corrales and Smoke Gaynor as well. And some things happening there, although, again, looking out for the interest of the fighter. Sure. We put that out front. We take a break right now here on Friday Night Fights. We'll be doing that later here on the program. But we go back out to San Antonio. When we come back, there's Tony Ayala Jr., his boxing, when we return.
Brian and Max.
Boy, they have a little 6-rounder, 8-rounder snuck in there, and guys are throwing. I mean, it's hard stuff. Again, we've got a title bout later on, our main event here on Friday Night Fights. And now we get to talk about the other part of Zab Judah and Kostya Tszyu. Of course, you have to be sensitive to what happens inside the ring. Of course, even what's happened here on Friday Night Fights and Tuesday Night Fights with B. Scotland and Bobby Tomasello. At the same time, at world-class title fights, you look at fights like David Tua, Hasim Rahman, and now Kostya Tszyu and Zab Judah. And when is the right time to stop the fight? Referee Jay Nady this week thought he had the precise right time.
There was only one knockdown. He went down twice, but the reason I stopped the fight was because he was almost unconscious when he went down the first time, and his equilibrium was so bad the second time that I was concerned about the second concussion syndrome, and I thought that if he got hit again, he might have some real damage. I was aware that the fighter was hurt, and I just didn't want him to take any more punishment. Like I say again, the second concussion syndrome, the second punch syndrome after a bad punch like that, he could have been hurt, and that was my only concern.
The bell never rang. The bell cannot save you in any round. The knockdown, to the best of, when I looked at the tape, was about 2:54, I believe. The referee, he tried to count. Zab fell down again. When he got up, he felt he couldn't continue. The bell did not ring, and he stopped the fight.
All right, first things first now. It's not the referee's job to know how much time there is left in the round. It makes no difference whatsoever. Also, not his job to know that Tszyu-Zab Judah is a guy with a little electricity in his body, jumps back up, wiggles a little bit, and that sort of thing. He doesn't have to know that. However, do you have any problem with the stoppage? I know the more I watch it, Max, the more I think, well, he's waving it off as Zeb is cut in two. He's making the right call, and he can make that at any time. And yet, at the time I saw it, I thought, no, maybe in a 4-rounder, maybe in a 6-rounder, but not in a world title shot.
Let me make it clear first. No one in the media should, and I certainly won't, say, no, it's not really a win for Kostya Tszyu somehow. It certainly is. Nady made the call. He's the referee. It's at the referee's discretion. The question is, do I think it was a good call by the referee? And I disagree with Nady's call, who I think is a good referee, but I think he's had some bad moments in terms of stopping fights in the past. In this case, you can clearly see from the replay, Tszyu-Zab Judah hits the deck. Almost as soon as his back hits the deck, he pops back up within 2 seconds. Didn't have his legs. There's a difference between being knocked out where you don't know where you are and just having the oxygen supply cut off between the brain and the legs, which comes back over time. In Judah's case, within 10 seconds, we showed on the clock earlier in the program, he was walking around the ring under his own power. There's a reason you have a 10-second count. The fighter should have about 10 seconds to get himself back together. In this case, when Nady saw Judah flop down again, he made his decision right there. I'm stopping this fight. That was only about 3 or 4 seconds into the count. I think that's an overreaction. Now, I'm very sensitive to the idea that you have to err on the side of caution when it comes to protecting fighters in situations like this, especially in brutal fights where one guy's taking a sustained beating. But in the second round of a fight where a guy's been hit essentially once, and let's face it, the way the fight was stopped, had Judah just stayed on a knee, collected himself, and risen, he would have been allowed to continue. So I felt like Judah was being penalized and not given time to recover as a result of his heart and inexperience popping back up. And so I thought it was a bad stoppage.
This also wasn't the type of thing where you see like Floyd Mayweather against Angel Manfredi, where Manfredi, given 20 seconds to clear his head, suddenly has a problem with the stoppage. Zeb had a problem right away. Let's go back with Jay Nady's other fights now. And again, it's a difficult position to be in. We go back to last May, and here's Smoke Gainer against Diego Corrales. Now watch this closely. Now the thing a referee has to do is make your count. You count to at least 8. You let him get up. You take a step back. You say, take a step toward me, and then you make your decision. Watch here closely, Max. This is not what Jay Nady does.
His eyes are clear. Nady clearly saw something he didn't like, and I don't blame refs for stopping it, but again, in the history of boxing, very few examples of guys being at least obviously permanently hurt from a fight someone lets a fight go too far, a ref lets a fight go too long in the first, second, or third rounds of a fight. Generally, it's from sustained trauma to the head over a course of several rounds.
You know, we were talking on the phone right after this fight, and I said, Max, look at Vargas Trinidad. That was the completely opposite way. And he said, that was Jay Nady. So let's take a look at that fight now. Start off, there's a first knockdown in the final round. This is the 12th round. Now, it's a world championship fight, but now that's 2 knockdowns in the same round. In the final round, Jay Nady elects to let it go. Max, I thought Jay Nady had it right here. You might have anxious moments, but I thought Nady got it right here.
I probably would have done the same thing as Nady, and I think all 3 of us would have been wrong. I think the call there in a fight because you get caught up, oh, Vargas has a chance, he's doing this superhero-like performance, taking all this punishment, but there's an example of a fight. Over 12 rounds, Vargas was really taking a frightful beating, a lot of trauma in his head. And in the last round of the fight, where Vargas had already climbed off the deck twice, gets floored twice more, probably after the second knockdown, it was the time to stop that fight, not wait for him to be drilled again. So if you're going to err on the side of caution, Vargas Trinidad would be the example of where to do that, where he didn't.
And you can't have it both ways. I mean, you have it one way or the other way. You can't get the guy on both ends.
Referees tend to overreact. A tragedy will happen in boxing, and then refs jump in too early, early in the fight when a guy, as I feel, Zab wasn't really in imminent danger.
All right, let's get in Bob Papa and Teddy Atlas right now. We'll talk about this with both guys. Hey, Teddy, let's start with you. Your take on this situation. Again, my gut feeling at the time it happened, I thought, no, don't stop it. What was your first reaction watching it, Teddy?
My first reaction and my second reaction was the problem is not the referee, it's boxing. Boxing doesn't have set criteria. Any other sport, football, basketball, baseball, there's set rules. There's training how to deal with a situation. No subjectiveness. It's definite what you have to do. Boxing needs national reform. It needs a situation where there's unilateral rules across the board.
But Teddy,
what
rule would cover that?
Here's the rule. Here's the rule. The guy goes down, you count, and you continue the count. He gets up, he falls down. Hey, continue the count.
Isn't that the rule now, Teddy? Referees tell me that's the rule now.
No, obviously, that's not the rule. Because Jay Nady did not have to go by that rule. Otherwise, the commissioner would have stepped in and said, hey, you didn't go by the rule. That's not the rule. He saw the guy get up, fell down. I understand how he felt. The guy's equilibrium falling that way. Anybody would say, wow, look at that. But a trained referee, given a rule, could have said, hey, let me keep counting. I still have the opportunity to stop it if he's in bad shape at the end. But at least I give him the opportunity to recover. Take a look at him and then say, okay or no.
Teddy, especially since in the Millette fight, also, I believe it was the end of the second round, Zab goes down, gets up a little wobbly, makes it back to his corner, continues 2 rounds later, the fight's over, and Zab wins.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, look, in football, if a guy gets hurt and a timeout has to be called, he has to come out of play for one play, right? Has to come out of the game for one play. It's a rule. It's been ruled on. It's law. Well, boxing, too much subjectiveness. There's not a set rule.
Yeah, but
there
guys,
should be a set rule.
But now, hey, Bob, now you react to this, Bob. If that happens, what if a referee sees a guy go down hard and maybe, you know, he's all tangled up, he looks bad, his eyes are rolling back in his head. He's not going to be standing there and continue the count. You got to get down and try to help the guy.
You know, I think Jay Nady did a bad job of sort of defending himself in his interview right after the fight, because my first reaction was, when I watched it, first of all, I was shocked to see Zab down that early in the fight because we all picked him to win. But the second thing was, I thought that what Jay Nady thought was, when he saw Zab get up and then he saw Zab stumbling around and then Zab fall down again, I thought he stopped it immediately because he wanted to get a doctor in the ring as quickly as possible to make sure that this guy wasn't seriously hurt from the way he went down and got up. You know, all the other examples that you showed with Jay Nady, in none of those other examples did we see a guy get up and then collapse back down again. So I think he was looking for Zab Judah's safety. I mean, I could see both sides of the argument. I didn't think it was a bad stoppage because I thought he was looking for medical help immediately with the way the guy went down the second time when he got up.
Hey, Bob, that's an excellent point. You could see there on the tape we were looking at, you saw Jay Nady waving someone in immediately. Again, it's completely understandable the way that happened. But once again, what Teddy is saying, I don't think you can have a rule that you say, well, you continue the count. There is a rule saying that you continue that count to 8. I talked to many referees just this past week on that issue.
The bottom line is, it took a certain amount of time for Zab to get his legs back. That amount of time was within 10 seconds. There's a reason there's a 10 count. So whether he would have, if he tries to get up, flops back down, he can do that 3, 4, 5 times within 10 seconds. Bottom line is the oxygen supply was back and forth. Within 10, he was okay. So would it made a difference to everyone had Zab taken a knee and then, without going up and down, risen by 8 seconds or 10 seconds, the same time has elapsed, and he's in the same condition, he would have been allowed to continue.
All right, we got to break this up now. Bob, Teddy, thank you very much.
Wins the fight.
Yeah, no, he didn't get there on his own.
Kostya Tszyu-Zab Judah is the junior welterweight champion of the world.
Here's what people said on ESPN.com. What do you think? Was it stopped too soon? Most people said no. It's a close vote. Most people thought no. Most people disagreeing with us. And you'd be right a lot, too.
Just to let everyone know, we covered Zab a lot on this show. You see us interviewing him, the loser here, after the fight. That's because Kostya's back in Australia. Let's not make any excuses. Kostya Tszyu won the fight fair and square. This is something interesting to talk about, partly because we have